Like, oh, the microphone's Jeff. Like, all right, we don't have a camera. We're traveling. Like whatever. Just show up and try. And then understand that even if it goes horribly wrong, if you try again, it will go a little bit better. Because you have a new level of awareness. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. Pilot Jeff checking in from the cockpit. If you didn't listen to our last episode, Alan looks like your friendly American Airlines pilot. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode. It was a Q&A, how to help your partner be more vulnerable. Today, episode number 655. 655. Change the way you think. Change the way you live. A throwback to the original hyper-conscious podcast.
So the hyper-conscious podcast was about being hyper-conscious.
Strong word.
We looked it up. Yeah, right? Not bad. I looked it up. We looked it up on Google, and it means to be acutely aware.
It does.
Our slogan used to be, change the way you think, change the way you act, and you will change the way you live. We since rebranded, obviously, to Next Level You,
yes,
but we still believe deeply in being hyper-conscious. So this is going to be an awesome throwback where I interview Kevin about, I think that the hyper-conscious podcast saved your life in many ways.
I would agree.
Because I think that in hindsight, it's become clear to me that when you changed your thinking, it changed everything for you.
Yeah.
And so what I wanted to do was interview you for our listeners about what exactly is it that you changed in your thinking so that they can do the same.
Okay.
You game?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay.
Thanks for the opportunity. I'm happy to be here today, and I'm just really looking to add value.
This is wild. All right, so first question. What do you think is the number one shift that you made in your thinking that has made the biggest difference since before hyperconscious was a thing?
I think one of the reasons I always tell people, naturally it's going to be a tactic, I always tell people to buy Mindset by Carol Dweck is because I had a very, very fixed mindset. If I failed at something, it made me a failure. That was always the way I operated. I was way more nervous to strike out than I was excited to get a hit. And when I struck out, I never diagnosed what went wrong, or I think I lived my life for that, like for that way most of my life. And when I started, I really think it happened when you and I partnered up, because that was kind of the thing. It was like fail forward, fail forward, fail forward, fail forward. And I think for the first time in my life, I was in a culture where failure was not only accepted, but encouraged. Because most people don't encourage failure because it costs time, it costs money, it might cost customer relations, whatever it is. But since you and I were behind the scenes, nobody knew we were failing, really. So it gave me the permission to be imperfect. That was one of the biggest things for me. Is like, look, you're going to screw this up. It's not a big deal, really. And if I didn't screw up in episode 1, 2, 3, till however, again, I screwed the intro up. You and I were laughing because you look like an air pilot.
I do.
So it's, I think that growth mindset versus fixed mindset is the biggest game changer for me, because I thought failure was a small thing. I thought it was like an everyday thing, like I failed today. And then you just don't show up the next day. And I realized very quickly that's just not how it works.
So failure is not final.
Failure isn't, there isn't really failure if you continue doing what you're doing. If you were to take a snapshot of me 2 years ago, unable to buy Christmas presents, right? That snapshot, you'd say like, oh, he failed. Like, it looks like he failed. But if you fast forward a year, things are a little bit different. If you fast forward a year, things are a little bit different. It's like, if you're only looking at the snapshot, you're only going to see what's current. And yeah, I did look like a failure probably at that point. Like, to people who didn't know, they're probably like, oh, he's not going to make it. Like, nothing was really going well. But it's because of the repetition. It's because of the resilience of just continuing to go that I think it's a perfect storm for somebody who doesn't believe in themselves. Not only are they backed in a corner and they can't afford to get their girlfriend Christmas presents, but they don't have the belief to understand, like, this isn't the end of the road. Like, you can just keep going. And that was huge for me. That was huge for me.
Why why do you think more people don't think that way?
It's not natural. I don't think that's a natural. Okay. You and I have talked about this a lot. My goal is to be an amazing parent. But one of the reasons I think I'm capable of being an amazing parent is because I can encourage my child or children to do whatever it is they believe in with less limiting beliefs than I had against me. And again, my family was great, but they didn't necessarily have empowering beliefs. They weren't really into personal development, right? And nothing against them. I wasn't either for the first 25 years of my life. But I think that, I mean, how many times have we said this isn't something you're going to learn in school? Most of what we talk about isn't necessarily taught in school.
Unfortunately.
Right? So I just think most people haven't been, I don't want to say awakened because I don't like the way that sounds, exposed to it. Most people haven't been exposed to it. And what do you get from your parents? You usually get their thoughts and their behaviors. A lot of times, right? They're the people that are affecting your growth. And if they don't believe in themselves, you're going to pick up on that. Mm-hmm. And they're subconsciously going to say, like, don't go big. We got to play safe. We got to make sure that, we don't make noise. We don't want to be the center of attention. So I think that most people don't believe it because the parents before them didn't believe it. And that's one of the reasons I'm so excited in the future to have children, is to bring a generation of children into the world where it's like, look, I want you can do anything. Anything, because I didn't think I could. Now I know you can. I know you can. So I think it's that. I think it's adopted. I think it's an adopted belief.
You've heard the quote, you've said it actually, that I remember early in the hyperconscious days, throwback again, you used to say life is 90% what happens to you, or no, 10% what happens to you and 90% what you do about it.
I stole that from somebody.
Yeah. Well, you quoted someone.
Yeah.
Do you believe that now more than ever? And if so, I guess if not, what would you adapt it to? Because we've heard mindset is everything. I don't think people understand. It's really easy to say mindset is everything. Like put that on a fortune cookie and read it. Mindset is everything. I actually do believe mindset is everything, but I don't think people understand the layers of that simple quote.
Well, there's so many things under mindset. There's so many. I think people hear the word mindset and they assume like next level person or not next level person. When a mindset is like, it's so many things. It's your attitude, it's your belief, it's your recent results, it's the people you surround yourself with, it's the way you look at problems, it's growth versus fixed mindsets. Like, it's so many layers where I think that, I don't know, I think life is a balance between what happens to you and what you do with it. I don't know that it really is a percentage. Because a super difficult thing might happen to us that could be easy for somebody else, or a super easy thing could happen for us that might be super difficult to somebody else. That could literally shift their life, right? So I don't know that it's a percentage. I think life happens to you, and then you decide what to do with it. Always, always. We have so many examples from having people on the show of, we talk about Isabelle Picard. We talk about Eric LeGrand. People who have really turned their circumstances into positive spots in their life. Like, the most positive, right? Where, who knows where they would be if that didn't happen to them? Right. Would they have the platform? Would they be growing and contributing like they are? So it's like, in a weird way, it's almost like life is 1% what happens to you and 99% what you do with it. Mm-hmm. I think that's probably, but I think it's hard to put numbers on it. And you know me, I'm quite I want it to make sense. I don't want to be spewing falsities, untruths.
Nor do I. Do you believe that most people believe what you just said?
No. I don't struggle with that. But I'm still not 100% like this is happening for me. I try to, but I do sometimes find myself like, man, why is this happening? Like, this sucks. Like, I don't know how I'm going to fix this problem. But it's way quicker of like, it's not a big deal. Like, just as long as you keep going, it's going to be fine. Right? Like, you have to, in order to keep going, you have to get over this anyway. So you're going to figure it out. I think that it's certain things that make you feel like it's the end of the road. particularly for me, and that's why I talk about it, like not having money in this journey the multiple times that I've been there is like, I think that's where people kick the bucket. It's the end of the road. It's like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I have to tap out here. I have to tap out because it's maybe my family's depending on me. My friends don't believe in me. My family doesn't believe in me. And again, that's not my experience, but I know that's a lot of people's experiences. And that's like the most overwhelming thing in the world. Like, that's some real life shit.
Why didn't you tap out?
I think
honestly,
I have a good support group. You helped a ton. Taryn believed in me. You know, like giving.
Would you have tapped out without those things?
Probably. Yeah, probably. I probably would have tapped out earlier. Honestly, I think.
Do you think that would have been bad?
Yes, for sure. For sure, but you don't know that.
I know.
Right? At the time, it's like. You see an animal get caught in a fence, and you run over to help the animal, and they freak out. Because in their mind, they're not thinking of the pleasure of escaping. They're thinking of the pain and the fear of being stuck in the fence. Like, they don't even, in their mind, know you're going over there to help them. They can only think about in the moment. I think what happens with a lot of people, and this has happened to me, is the uncertainty is so high. I'm not worried about a brighter future. I'm worried about the moment lasting. I'm not worried about 5 years from now. I'm worried about 5 minutes from now. I'm worried about rent. I'm worried about the car payment. I'm worried about whatever it is. It's hard to paint a picture of the future when you're using the paint you have to survive. It's just not easy. And I think if you don't have the belief, which is something I've worked on so hard, if you don't have that belief, it's like abandoned ship here. Like we have to figure out a way to make money now. We have to figure out a way to get out of this. And I think I had those moments for sure. For sure.
Do you believe at this point that your adversity is your advantage?
Mine or a general statement?
General statement.
I think if you harness it the right way, I think it just has to be like, okay, this happened to me. When this happens to you, you have to like dig through the layers of, was it my fault? What does this mean about who I am? What does this mean about what I deserve? What am I able to do with this? Right? We've had so many instances of people who just have been mistreated in the past. That adversity is still adversity right now because they haven't figured out how to bottle it up and use it for fuel yet. I just think there's like a lag time where you have to like get out, distance yourself from it, and be able to see it from a different perspective. I can talk openly about suicide because I've experienced it, but it's so distant now that it's like it's not an open wound anymore.
But when you had the suicidal ideation, you used that as fuel to change, to innovate.
I don't know that it's the same, though, because I didn't have any other option. There was only two options. It was either use it as fuel or don't not be here. You know, and I think, like, a lot of people have something bad happen to them, and that becomes their existence. That becomes their identity. Right? I have people in my mind right now that I'm thinking of like, this happened to me, therefore I am this. Therefore, this is what I will accept. Therefore, this is what I will get out of life.
Is that conscious, or is that all just kind of running?
I think it's running.
In the background?
Yeah, and that's why being in their corner and asking them the questions of like, you know, do you think this, or is this something that was ingrained in you from a previous trauma? Like, do you actually believe you deserve what's happening? No. Why? Then why are you allowing it to happen? Just because you always have. So that adversity actually creates more adversity until you change the way you think. Like that, I think that's the key. And then you, like Evan Carmichael says, you can use that pain as your purpose if you want, right? So say you were sexually assaulted, God forbid, right? Say you were sexually assaulted. It starts with that. Then maybe there's a shame cycle, and then maybe it's, did I deserve that? And then you have to forgive yourself. And then it's, I've attracted a bunch of other negativity into my life because I'm used to being treated a certain way. Then you have to keep growing, keep looking back, keep forgiving yourself, keep leveling up, self-love, therapy, whatever it is. And then I think you get to the point where it's like, now I can help others with that. But you can't, I don't think you could help somebody with something that you're going through at the same time.
Right.
You got to focus on you.
Ladies and gentlemen, one of the biggest issues for our listeners that we've seen is not everybody has people in their corner trying to lift them to the next level, and even the people who are trying to help don't always know how.
That's why Kevin and I created Next Level Group Coaching. It's a 3-month program on teams of 10 with all people committed to achieving their goals. Click the link in the show notes for more information.
And we only take 10 people at a time, so make sure you get in quick.
So, regarding the changing the way you think and changing the way you live, what is a new way that you live, and what was the shift in thinking that catalyzed that? That you think is like big, like a big. Okay, you mentioned fail forward.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned fixed mindset versus growth. Those are huge. Now we talked about, basically 1% what happens to you, 99% what you do about it, and all of those are kind of the same thread if you think about it.
Yeah.
And then is your adversity your advantage? Great themes so far. What's a philosophy or a mentality or a mindset that you now is always rolling for you, that you think other people could or should adopt, that you wish you had adopted sooner?
This at bat is probably not as important as you think. Like, it's kind of the fail forward, but it's, for me, understanding that you got to take a shot. Like, you got to take a shot. I look back, and it's weird because we were talking about it earlier, but like, this is 655 episodes. Like, 655 times you and I have sat down in chairs, not these, and spoken into these microphones, because we've had these since the very beginning, and uploaded it for people to listen to. And every single one of those times I could have done better than I did.
Yeah.
Every single one of those times I could have done worse than I did. And I think knowing that and understanding that if you guys are listening to this and you think in any way, shape, or form that we are good, you never would have at the first episode.
No chance.
But you also weren't listening at the first episode because nobody was.
Right.
So it's almost like by the time you have an audience, if you focus on the right things, and whatever an audience means to you, if you focus on the right things, when you get there, you'll be leveled up enough to sustain it, right? Like, we could pay for followers, and we could pay for downloads, and we could pay for subscribers, but that's not the play. Because when we get to where we want to get, we wouldn't be able to sustain it.
Right.
So for me, the understanding that it might seem like today, this episode, if it goes horribly wrong, I'm not gonna be able to sleep. I'm gonna be thinking about it. I think people are gonna be laughing at me. When you do it long enough, it just goes away. Like, I'm not gonna remember this episode later, genuinely.
Right.
We're doing a meetup tonight because we're recording this on Monday. That's what I'll be on to the next one. On to the next one. On to the next one. I think having the ability to remember something quickly, but also to forget it. I've bombed speeches. I've had terrible coaching calls. I've haven't performed well on podcasts. I've had bad days. I've overreacted in my relationship. I've had bad gym sessions. I had a terrible one this morning because I didn't sleep because the kittens were running amok last night. That's okay. Like, just get back up and do it again. Get back up and do it again. Get back up and do it again. 655 episodes. Great. How many of those are actually good? How many of those are actually our best?
Our best?
Our best.
Technically all of them and none of them.
Right. But that's such an important...
Yeah.
It's such an important distinction. We never would have gotten to 655 if we didn't just say, like, this is going to suck, but it is what it is. Like, let's just try it, see what happens. Like, the microphone's Jeff. Like, all right, we don't have a camera. We're traveling. Like, whatever. Just show up. Just show up and try. And then understand that even if it goes horribly wrong, if you try again, it will go a little bit better. Because you have a new level of awareness. The problem is, going back to failure and quitting, if we did one episode and it went horribly wrong, we would assume, if we didn't show back up, that we're terrible podcasters.
Right.
When, of course, we are. It's our first episode. Of course we're terrible podcasters. The first time in the gym, I was terrible.
Right.
My first relationship was probably atrocious. My first time driving a car, my mom yelled at me because I just hammered it around the corner without hitting the brakes because I didn't know really how the brakes worked because I had never driven. I think it's that. Understand that where you are is probably parallel to your current skills. Mm-hmm. And when you raise your current skills, where you are will go up. Just make sure that where you are doesn't go way ahead of your skills because you'll be
You'll be Jeffed.
You'll be Jeffed.
That last piece was very powerful. And again, next level you. That's what this is. There's always another level. Level up your skills, level up your growth, level up your mindset.
Life, love, health, and wealth.
Right, and then your results will come to that next level.
Hopefully.
The other way around is dangerous.
It's Jeff, yeah.
So would you be willing to tell our new listeners the story about Justin Wren?
Justin Wren, oh my goodness, this is a throwback. Yes, we have a couple minutes here. So I believe it would have been episode number, 7 or 9?
I was 7, I think.
No, 7 was Chase Your Effing Dreams.
That's right.
I think it might have been 9. So I was shout out to Cope Daddy. Cope Daddy gets another shout out. He got one in the previous episode or Wednesday's episode. I was talking to him about guests, and he said, if you could have any guest, who would it be? And Justin Wren is a professional mixed martial arts fighter in Bellator, and he's also a philanthropist who goes to pygmy villages in the Congo and builds water wells. He has I think it's called Water 4, I think is his thing. And I said, I would love to interview him. He was just on Joe Rogan. I had seen him fight. He seemed like an awesome, he's like 6'4", giant beard, jacked professional fighter, nicest dude in the world. Seems like the nicest dude in the world.
Yeah.
I said, that would be my dream interview.
Great interview.
I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that. Don't spoil it.
No, sorry. But when you said nicest dude in the world,
it was,
I agree.
right?
Yeah,
Right.
it was.
So I messaged him. No, I actually didn't message him. The next day, the universe, whatever it is you believe in, he posted something about, hey, I'm trying to expand this knowledge of what I'm doing in the Congo. I'm going to do 50 podcasts this month. Reach out to this person if you want to be one of the people I choose. And I was like, holy hell, this is amazing. So I sent a message, and I got chosen. So I got on the phone with his manager, and I was like, yeah, we're going to do it this way. I'll set it up. I'm going to be on the road. It's no big deal. I'll bring my laptop, all that happy jazz. At this point, Zoom was not a thing, to my knowledge. I literally downloaded a voice recorder on my cell phone and did it that way. So I'm in a crusty hotel room in New Jersey, very similar to the one where I wanted to kill myself, very similar to that. And it's time. It's go time. Boom, here we go. It's go time. I call up Justin Wren. Here we go. Awesome. I get the phone recorder working. Amazing. I remember telling you, I think it was probably like a 9 out of 10. I was like, dude, this interview was fire. Like, we talked about his childhood and how he was bullied. That's why he wants to give back. And he's just an amazing dude, and I know he was impressed, and this is amazing. And we go to listen to it, and it's just garbage. Like, it sounded like he was crunching a Eminem rapper up in the phone, and it was literally unusable. I hired somebody on Fiverr to fix it, couldn't do it. I hired somebody on whatever, another one, couldn't do it, Upwork, whatever it was. And I ended up having to scrap the interview. And it was like the worst, it seemed like the worst thing ever at that time because it was my dream interview and I didn't get to use it. And it was disheartening. It was like, because I thought I was going to blow up. Like, this dude was just on Joe Rogan. Excuse me, I just spit on you. This guy was on Joe Rogan like 2 weeks ago. Now he's coming on my show. Like, this is for episode 9. Like, this is way easier than people said it was going to be, you know? And then I wasn't able to use it. I reached back out to him, and him and I talked for a minute, but it never ended up getting rescheduled. And it will. I know it will in the future. But it was the most disheartening thing at the time because I thought it was going to go way better than it did.
You should reach back out.
We will.
Yeah,
we will.
Fire.
He's crushing it now, but good for him.
Okay, what did you not know then that you now know? That would have helped you get through that dark time.
Par for the course. It's par for the course. And test more. Like, you know, this is your first virtual interview and you're going to do it on the road from a New Jersey hotel room if you don't even know if you're going to have Wi-Fi. Just too many variables. Too many variables. Stephen Kotler, I think it was in Stephen Kotler's book, he says the only way to perform, basically, this is a summation, the only way to perform in chaos is to train in chaos. And I didn't train at all. I didn't train at all for that. I literally just was like, this phone recorder thing should work. Like, we're going to give it a go. And it was absolute garbage. So, yeah, I would say you are going to fall to the level of your training. So make sure you understand, like, the result I got was pretty much parallel with my current skill level. You know, it's like,
yeah, I would say so.
I shouldn't have expected for him to be like, oh, my God, he might even be the next Joe Rogan. It's like, no, I definitely wasn't.
Do you think that that's why you got so crushed? Is because you had such high expectations?
Yeah, for sure. And I thought it was like, same with Lori Harder. We had Lori Harder for number 32. I was like, dude, this is it. Like, we're gonna be famous. That's just in my mind. It's like, Lori Harder's super successful. Justin Wren knows Joe Rogan. Maybe he'll throw me a bone. You know, like, in my mind, that's how it worked. And I've learned quickly that It didn't, but also the benefit, like the positive side of it is I wouldn't have been able to sustain success at that point. Like if he introduced me to Joe Rogan at that point, it would have been like, yeah,
Can
cool.
you imagine if you
Cool,
went
man.
on Joe Rogan after that?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh no, God no. Joe wouldn't want to have me on at that point. What are we going to talk about?
Yeah, literally.
You know. So
New Jersey, what's that like?
yeah, Joe knows. He lives in New Jersey.
Yeah. Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Last question,
Hammer.
and then we'll go. Okay, so on the last episode we did, Wednesday's episode, you asked me what are 3 questions I would ask myself. I'm not going to do that. I want to know 3 mindsets that you believe every listener should adopt if they want to achieve their goals and dreams.
Let's see.
Specific, concise 3 mindsets to like really write down. And if you're out there listening, write these down. If you're driving, don't, but write them down later.
I would say I think it's important to talk about love, health, wealth, and love. One mindset that I think people should adopt is it's not about what you get from a relationship, it's about what you give. I think that for me is a game changer of like in every relationship. If I've ever talked to you in my DMs or on a call or a video or whatever, like I'm just trying to give. Right? More often than not. Sometimes I'm talking to somebody about working with me as a client. Sure, of course, right? That's part of the thing. But I just want to give. That's my goal, is to give, because I believe when you give, people see it, and if they're ready for something, they'll come for you, right? And same in your intimate relationship, same in your family. So I would say that. I think your comforts. My God, I keep spitting everywhere. Your comfort zone will kill you if you stay there. I genuinely believe that. Genuinely believe that more than ever. It's this thing that we work up in our brains that we have to stay where we are and we have to stay safe. Now, of course, there's a level of uncertainty that we can handle, and there's a level of uncertainty that we need to get to the next level. Understand that, like, you don't want to be comfortable forever. You want to grow. You do. It's scary, but it's better. It's just better. It's just better when you grow because you'll feel better about yourself. I would say that. And I think when it comes to money, I think money's another important one. Your skill set determines how much money you make. And I know you said that on the mastermind. I know that's a tough thing for a lot of people to hear. But when I started coaching, I didn't deserve $200 an hour. I deserved nothing because I wasn't that good. I wasn't valuable enough to charge somebody yet. And that's okay, right? That's okay. That's me talking about me. As you level up, then what you're worth levels up. Not yourself, not intrinsically, not who you are as a person, but what you are capable of making is based on what you're capable of producing. I think that's such an important thing. And you, if you're watching or listening, you know I mean that with all the love in the world. I was the gas station guy making $11 an hour, right? That's okay. I've been there. But we've also been speakers who have made thousands of dollars to speak, which is amazing. Mm-hmm. But it's only because of the hard work we've done behind the scenes. So that, invest in yourself, in your own self-improvement, and when you do get the opportunity, I think the results will be way greater. I sound like you.
It's fire.
It's very interesting. That's what I would say.
Fire.
3.
Absolute fire. Thank you, everyone who listened, and write those 3 down. Seriously.
Profusely.
And if you have to go back and rewind and write them down, try this week to just adopt those 3 into your... I agree with them thoroughly. The first one I would just say, and I know we got to go here, I would just say be careful. Givers need to set limits because takers have none.
Definitely.
Kevin and I are givers at heart, and it's definitely jeffed us at times.
For sure.
For me, for sure. But I couldn't agree more. It's not about what you get, it's what you give. But just be careful.
I like that. Ladies and gentlemen, as we mentioned in Wednesday's episode, what it really takes to get to the next level, our $47 course will be live ASAP. You can find it on nextleveluniverse.com or in the show notes. Everything that we have learned, we broke into 5 modules. Very easy, very concise, very affordable if you want to take a deeper dive into the next level. Again, listening to us is amazing, and we want you to do it forever, but there is an interactive component that adds value.
Proximity is power. Get into group coaching. You're going to get one-on-one access, group access to Kevin and I, but through WhatsApp, you can message us privately as well. A lot of our group coaching clients have become one-on-one clients. Yes. It's been really powerful. And at the end of the day, it's proximity. It's being in a room with like-minded people all together, and just the curriculum has gotten so much better since the beginning. So July 14th, group coaching, group 4 closes. Make sure you sign up by then. Go to nextleveluniverse.com or click the link in the show notes. Nice if I could talk. And I promise group coaching will be better than this plug.
Ladies and gentlemen, we love you. We appreciate you. And as always, we do not have fans. We have family. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.